Blossom, I can see you making faces there. I've got one question to start this debate with you. Why do we separate the sexes at the Olympics?
You know, first of all, I want to say shout out to Cece Tolfer. I've met her before. She is a magnificent person, and she is very bad ASS, and I love her to death. Let me say this.
We'll come to Cece Tolfer in a moment. Cece Tolfer might be a fabulous person.
Yes.
I'm going to come later to why I think what she does is completely wrong. But just on the question I asked, why do we separate the sexes at the Olympics?
If you actually, Piers, if you actually let me get to it, because you let Riley have her talking point, so I'm going to actually have my talking point right now.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. As you guys can probably already tell, this is one of those clips. To be very honest with you guys, I am not sure if I am excited to go into this clip, dreading what she's about to say, or maybe a bit of both. But one thing I think is for sure, this is at the bare minimum going to be entertaining. Piers Morgan has on Riley Gaines and Blossom Brown, who is pushing some of the most unhinged takes I have ever heard. And later within this clip, even Piers, the man who can almost quite literally handle anything, gets pretty tired of her. Almost to the points where he snaps, which I don't see too often from Piers. So as always, let's just get into this clip. This is one of those clips that you want to sit down and watch just because either you're going to be extremely entertained or you're going to be absolutely shocked at how someone can have these types of ideas. So let's just get into it. And of course, I'll be giving you my opinion as I go through it.
Cece is definitely a wonderful person. And I think, let's be clear, Donald Trump is a complete moron. Donald Trump talks so much about waste and fraud, and you're signing a whole executive order banning trans women from playing sports. According to the NCAA, there are over 510,000 athletes. And within those athletes, there are only less than 10 trans athletes. So you mean to tell me Donald Trump signed an executive order for 0.002 of the population when trans people are only 1%? That's a waste. That is a waste. Trans people exist. There are more than two sexes. There are intersex people that exist. And I think that it's nothing more than conservative propaganda that because Donald Trump is in power, he is able to use. I think Donald Trump should stop booty clapping to Elon Musk and actually get something done in this country. And eradicating trans people is not going to be it. And I stand 10 toes down on that.
Okay, so
I'll say very briefly, it's this argument that it's a small percentage of the population. I hope you realize it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. It's not for every one male that's participating in a women's sport, it's one woman that's affected. In my sport, at our national championships, one male displaced 14,000 women. And I can speak for myself, I can speak for my teammates, I can speak for 99% of other female competitors on that pool deck. We all felt betrayed. We all felt violated in the locker room. We all felt it was unfair, but not enough people were courageous enough to say it because they were terrified. They were terrified of the name calling that you just pursued. I mean, the first thing you say is Donald Trump is a moron. What 20-year-old girl wants to be called transphobic or any of the slurs that have been thrown my way? I can certainly attest to. Piers mentioned,
Riley, I think you're trying to, Riley, I think you're just trying to make it seem like that trans people are a threat to cis women in the restroom, and that's not the case. Trans women and cis women should be coming together. Trans women are not a threat to cis women.
Okay, but here's the look, but Blossom.
All right, just in case you guys didn't hear that, she said trans women are not a threat to cis women, which basically means the argument is that trans women competing in women's sports isn't a problem. No threat, no harm done. But that is not the reality. For a second, Riley Gaines, an actual female athlete, competed against a biological male in a women's competition. She tied with Leah Thomas, and instead of being given her hard-earned trophy, the NCAA handed it to Leah because it made for a better photo op. Let that sink in. It wasn't about fairness whatsoever. In fact, it was quite the opposite of fair. Furthermore, Riley and other female swimmers have been forced to share changing spaces with a biological male. No heads up, no option to opt out, nothing. Imagine training your whole life, earning your place on a championship team, and then one day you're suddenly expected to be okay with a dude stripping next to you in the locker room. That's not just not a threat, that's a complete violation of boundaries. And before someone says, oh, but trans women are women, listen, when you're stripping down naked in front of other women, I think it becomes very clear, at least unconsciously at the bare minimum, that that is not the case. No amount of hormone therapy, surgery, or identity affirmation erases the biological advantages that come with being born a male. The fastest female sprinter in history, Florence Griffith Joyner, couldn't beat thousands of high school boys in track events. That's the biological reality we're dealing with here. So no, this isn't about fearing trans women. It's about protecting fairness in women's sports. It's about keeping safe spaces for women actually safe. And it's about stopping this nonsense before we wake up one day and find out that every women's record in championship has been taken by a male-born athlete. That's a day I don't want to see. But of course, Blossom is going to keep going on this tangent, so let's check it out.
I think that y'all have ran on that ideology.
Yeah, Blossom.
Y'all have ran on that ideology
Blossom,
for a very long time.
hang on.
And you're going to have to specifically tell me cases.
Blossom,
Can you specifically tell me cases of where trans women have hurt cis women in the restaurant?
Blossom,
I'd like to know that,
Blossom,
please.
we don't use things like words like cis on here because no one understands it. Let's just...
well, I use cisgender, so that's where I come from, and that's what I like to use. That's in my vocabulary.
Yeah, but nobody else understands it. Let's just stick to my question. My question for you, which
well,
you have...
just because Piers, you don't understand, you just don't have the intellectual capacity, Piers. You don't have the intellectual capacity to understand the terminology that I'm using.
Blossom, just to explain something. You're appearing on a show called Piers Morgan Uncensored. That means you can say whatever you want.
I know all about you, Piers.
Okay, you can think
and I know how you're good at race baiting. I know how you're good at being transphobic, and that's why I'm here to face you.
Just to be clear,
face you one-on-one.
When do you think I've ever race baited?
Honey, you remember that whole incident with Sharon Osbourne?
Yes.
Let's not forget.
Oh, you know, I do.
Don't get me started on that.
I do.
But we're not here to talk about Miss Sharon Osbourne.
No. What do you think happened there?
We're not here to talk about Miss Sharon Osbourne.
Yes, what
we're
do you
here to
think?
talk about trans people in sports.
Hang on, you've raised...
You are notorious.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about the Sharon Osbourne thing.
Racist,
let me tell you what. Since you've raised it,
I'm a black trans woman.
Blossom, stop talking for a moment.
You cut me off so many times since I've been here.
Okay,
but
Blossom,
Riley, you give
can we have a conversation, please?
You give the white girl all the time to talk.
Can we have a conversation, please?
And the black girl is having to speak.
Actually, at the moment, the black girl is doing all the talking. So hang on.
What in the world was that?
Can I just say something, please?
That's my opinion.
All right.
That's my view.
Blossom, stop talking. Support for today's show comes from a business focused on a critical issue: prosperity. US national debt is at crisis levels, inflation has made life more expensive for everybody, and the stock market is precarious. It's enough to make anyone's financial future feel grim. So what is the solution? Well, a simple one is to opt out of the chaos and invest in something solid and reliable: physical gold and silver. And there's only one name you need to remember: American Hartford Gold. This company has earned the trust of thousands of customers with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and glowing reviews you can see for yourself. They offer an incredible range of gold and silver bars and coins that can be delivered directly to your door, or they'll help you set them up in a tax-advantaged gold IRA. First-class customer service makes the whole process simple, secure, and straightforward. American Hartford Gold is committed to getting the truth out there and giving you peace of mind in uncertain times. And if that wasn't enough, you'll get up to $15,000 worth of free silver when you make your first purchase and mention my name, Piers. So make the smart move. Call 866-692-2474 or text Piers, that's P-I-E-R-S, to 65532. That's 866-692-2474 or text Piers to 65532. All the details are in the description. Now on with the show. Let me just explain to you why what you've just said is complete and utter nonsense. I'm very glad you raised the Sharon Osbourne thing, as you put it, just to remind people and you and educate you about what happened. I was removed from my job hosting a morning show in Britain called Good Morning Britain because I disbelieved Meghan Markle's claims of racism against the royal family, okay? I never said a racist...
Why? Hang on. Why. She's a
Let me
black
finish. Woman. I never said a racist thing about anybody, least of all Meghan Markle. I've never invoked her skin colour. In fact, on the day she got married to Prince Harry, I wrote a front-page story in a national newspaper in this country in which I extolled the glorious moment we finally had a biracial wedding in our otherwise all-white royal family. You might be bored, but I'm going to address your allegation.
Okay,
that
Piers,
hang on, I haven't finished.
But I'm here to talk about trans women
Blossom.
in sports,
Let me finish. Let me just educate you.
Well, I didn't get to finish.
Let me just educate you with some facts.
You've
called me a race baiter. You've called me a race. Please stop talking. You've called me a race baiter. I'm
allegedly.
Hang on.
Alleged race
hang on. And you. Right. So let me finish. So what happened then was Sharon Osbourne, who was on a show called The Talk on CBS, now sadly no longer there because they got rid of Sharon. And guess what? Nobody wanted to watch it. And Cheryl Underwood, a black woman on that panel, set up Sharon Osbourne in the most despicable manner imaginable. And she said to Sharon Osbourne, why did you support Piers Morgan when he said those racist things?
Of course you would
and Sharon Osbourne, hang on, you can respond when I finish telling you what happened. You can respond when I tell you what happened.
I just want you to know you
Blossom,
are a disgusting
you can respond.
white cis man.
You can respond when I finish telling you what happened. And you can challenge me on facts.
Go ahead.
What you can't challenge me is something you've seen on TikTok. So let me finish. So Sharon Osbourne was told,
TikTok.
why did...
Nobody said that on TikTok. It was all over the news here in America.
Cheryl Underwood said to Sharon Osbourne, okay, if you're going to keep talking, I'll mute you. I will mute you, but don't let me mute you. Let me just finish. Then you can respond. Cheryl Underwood said, why did you support Piers Morgan when he said those racist things? Sharon said, what racist things? And as a result of that, by getting annoyed that she was being set up to try and supposedly defend her friend me in saying racist things I'd never said, Sharon got fired from The Talk. And she was left suicidal in the year that followed. That her whole career was sent down the drain because, ironically, the race baiter was actually the black woman on that panel, Cheryl Underwood, not Sharon Osbourne and not me. So I'm very glad you raised the issue of race baiting. But let's be clear, as you're doing now, the race baiting came from Cheryl Underwood to Sharon Osbourne, and it's now coming from you. So now you can respond.
Cannot be racist, Piers.
Now you can
Black
respond.
Women cannot be racist to white women. Are you kidding me?
Sorry?
That makes no sense.
Sorry?
Piers is saying exactly what I would have said in that position. The new definition of racism brought to you by woke activists. Apparently, racism isn't about discrimination or prejudice anymore. It's only about power dynamics. But funny enough, that definition magically changes depending on who's using it. Like, this is crazy. If you say someone can't be racist based on their skin color, isn't that racism? Like, that's literally the definition of racism. Treating people differently because of race. If a white person said, I can't be racist toward a black person because of historical oppression, they'd be canceled on the spot. But when Blossom says this, oh, suddenly it's deep, it's intellectual, it's progressive. And let's not ignore how incredibly convenient this little rule is. It means no matter what is said or done, there are no consequences. You can say the most vile, hateful things, but it's not racism because of your skin color? That is insane. In my opinion, that's the same thing as telling a kid in school, hey, you can bully that other kid all you want because of his race, but he's not allowed to fight back because his race has too much power. That's literally what this ideology is pushing. Like, come on, at the end of the day, racism is racism. It doesn't suddenly become okay just because you decide one group has special privileges. But hey, what do I know? I guess I'm just not intellectually capable enough to understand this galaxy brain reasoning, right? But I'm excited to see Piers and Riley's response.
Black women cannot be racist to white women. Do you not understand that?
Oh, yes, they can.
You don't have the intellectual
capacity
to understand that.
Oh, yes, they can.
Very much
and you've been
impossible.
racist to me.
That's very much impossible.
You've been racist to me, a white man, by saying I'm a race baiter. Yeah.
How am I racist to you? I'm black. I can't be racist to you.
You call me a race baiter with no evidence.
To me.
When have I been a race baiter?
You could be racist to me.
When have I been a race baiter?
But I'm a powerhouse.
Tell me when I've been a race baiter.
I'm a powerhouse.
Well, you may be a powerhouse.
Understand something.
You may be a powerhouse. You may be a powerhouse.
Okay.
When have I been a race baiter?
Oh, you admit that.
When have I been a race baiter?
Okay.
When have I been a race baiter?
Okay.
This is absurd.
No, hang on. Tell me,
Honey.
Blossom. Give me one example of me race baiting. Blossom, go.
I'm here, at this point, I'm just here to talk about trans women in sports. I said what I said.
So you don't have anything, do you?
Repeat anything.
You called me a race baiter, but you have no evidence I've ever race baited. You admit it?
Do you believe African Americans are superior to...
Let's move forward.
Fascinating. Like so many people, you play that race card and you can't defend it. You can't support it. There is no evidence.
It's not, hold on. Let me check you on that. Let me check you on that. You talk about this race card or whatnot. The race card is reality. My experience as a black trans woman is completely different than yours as
Reality?
a white cis man.
Well, let me ask you about reality
I'm
then.
speaking. Do not interrupt a black trans woman when I'm speaking.
Oh, don't be so
Do not interrupt a
pathetic.
black trans woman when I'm speaking, okay? Riley sits with so much privilege as a
So you
white
can
woman that she
interrupt me
go
for the last
around
10
looking
minutes.
like a halfback
So just to be
Tommy
clear,
Lauren.
just to be clear,
Right,
hang on,
right.
hang on, hang
Looking
on.
like Tommy
Just to be clear,
Lauren,
Blossom.
crying white tears about trans
All
women
right, just
playing
can you
in
mute
sports.
Blossom for a
You wanna talk
moment,
about-
please? Thank you.
realize you're making
hang on,
all
Riley. Hang on, Riley.
transgender
Hang on, Riley.
bad,
So to make the
right?
point that Blossom has just literally interrupted me for 10 consecutive minutes without pausing breath. But the moment Riley has the audacity to interrupt Blossom, oh, guess what? That's the moment that the black transgender woman decides this is outrageous. Okay, you can unmute her now.
This feels
Do
like
not
an
gaslight
SNL.
Pierce.
This feels like an SNL skit.
It does.
Okay.
It's preposterous.
Piers, I just want you to remember that Blossom said what her basis and perspective of life is rooted in reality. So please remember that as we continue this conversation.
Which brings me to
forward.
my question, which you haven't answered, Blossom, which is why do we separate the sexes in the Olympics?
Here's the thing. I'm not an Olympian.
Oh,
I don't play sports.
you don't know why we separate
I
the
think
sexes?
what you're saying is conservative propaganda. I think what you're
Propaganda?
saying is conservative propaganda.
Conservative
It's propaganda, and that you're able
I
to
asked you
play
why we
off of it,
separate.
Piers.
I asked you why
You
we
create
separate
a
the sexes.
platform
Maybe frame it
off
like
of
this.
that.
Why do we separate the
How about
sexes?
this?
Again,
Why do we have the
again, when we
Olympics
talk
versus
about trans
Paralympics?
people, when we talk about trans people, we're talking about gender identity. I need both of y'all mindset to become more expansive.
Right.
I know that's a little hard for
Can you
both
answer
of
my
you.
question?
Bro, what is this clip? I have never seen someone make some of the dumbest arguments with so much belief in them. Like, it's crazy. She is saying this and telling Piers and Riley to expand their mind into this imaginary world. Like, I've been laughing this whole time while it's been running in the background.
Because both of you have.
Can you
the brains
answer
of a
my
peanut.
question?
I understand that's hard for both of y'all.
Can you answer
Or
my
I should
question?
say
At
home,
a seed.
Can you answer my question?
Again, when we talk about trans people, we're talking about gender identity. We're not just
That's
focused
not my
on
question.
sex.
That's not
I
my
think
question.
That what y'all like to do is reduce conversations down
No.
to sex.
What
and
you all like
genitalia,
to do-
and you try to apply it to what's happening in
Okay.
the Olympics. Okay.
Okay. And
Trans
I'm asking
women
you a
should
very-
play in
and
sports.
I'm asking
trans
you-
women should participate in
The Olympics, the
And
next
I
Olympics,
think
the
what
next
you're
Olympics.
doing
Okay,
is
Blossom.
spreading misinformation.
Blossom, I
and
don't wanna
you
have
are
to mute you
spreading
again.
Conservative propaganda that
Okay.
should not be.
Okay.
Man, oh man, the final refuge of someone who has no actual argument. Just slap a label on it and pretend the discussion is over. Conservative propaganda. That's it. No counterpoints, no facts. At this point, it's just name calling. I mean, Blossom Brown is quite literally, in my opinion, the embodiment of how a woke crowd operates. Instead of debating ideas, they dismiss them outright. If you ask why men and women are separated in sports, conservative propaganda. If you say there are biological differences between men and women, conservative propaganda. If you believe women's spaces should be protected, that's conservative propaganda. You see how convenient that is? It's the intellectual equivalent of covering your ears and yelling, la 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 la, I can't hear you. It lets them avoid engaging with reality. And the funniest thing ever is that these same people have no problem using propaganda themselves. Just look at how they rewrite definitions, push misleading stats, and pretend the science is settled when clearly it isn't. They use emotional manipulation, victim narratives, and outright misinformation to push their ideology. But the moment you push back with actual facts, they scream propaganda and refuse to engage. At the end of the day, this is just another tactic to shut down debate. And if they had strong arguments, they wouldn't need to label everything they don't like as conservative propaganda. They'd actually prove their point, but they can't. Because when it comes to the reality of biological sex, fairness in sports, and protecting women's rights, the facts aren't on their side. They can't win on logic, so they try to make sure the argument never happens at all. Of course, that's what I think. Again, this is one of those clips that I honestly just could not describe to you. Instead, I had to show you. So as always, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this clip, on Blossom Brown, on Piers Morgan's takes and points, and also my opinions as well. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe, because I'll probably be covering other parts of this Piers Morgan Uncensored interview further.